Welcome to New Release Review, part of the Movie Friends podcast. My name is Seth. Today we're talking about The Marvels from 2023, directed by Nia DaCosta, starring Brie Larson, Teyana Paris, and Iman Vellani. We will be talking about spoilers throughout the entire episode, so if you have not seen this movie and you don't want it ruined for you, stop listening. My guest today is Kat Chinetti. She's the co-host of We Should Do This Again Sometime with Mark and Kat, and she also writes for nerdcaliber.com. Kat, how are you?
Doing well. How are you?
I am doing good. I maybe could say I'm doing marvelous. You wrote an article on this review for the movie, and I think that you and I are kind of feeling the same way about a lot of things regarding superhero movies, but also this movie. I guess in just a general way, like, what were your thoughts and first impressions from seeing The Marvels?
So, to tell you how low my expectations were going into this thing, I posted a reel of the open, like the thing they put on the press screen so you can take your Instagram photos, and set it to the Ninja Sex Party song, "Let's Get This Terrible Party Started."
So pretty low were your expectations.
Yeah, so as the only person on this planet that I think actually liked Thor Love and Thunder, and even then not enough to ever rewatch it, I was not feeling the fantasy. I thought Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 was mean-spirited and awful.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, I can go on at length about that if you got time, but I really I feel like there's nothing anymore that is pulling me to Marvel, especially, except Loki, and even then that's pretty much over. It's simultaneously too formulaic and too out of the box for it to be interesting to me. So I was like, all right, you know what? This movie's like been in the can for like 3 years, except they keep reshooting it. And like Nia DaCosta had to do all of this stuff remotely, and Candyman was awful. And I'm sorry, Nia DaCosta, I know you listen to a lot of podcasts. I don't think it's your fault.
Correct.
But I don't know. I didn't see Miss Marvel because I frankly just ran out of gas. I rewatched Captain Marvel recently and was like, ooh.
Didn't age well for you, or did you not like it back then?
I remember seeing it and being like, it's nice that there's a girl movie. And then upon the rewatch, I was like, wow, really all there is that it's a girl movie.
Wow. Okay. All right.
My dad is a figure that I evoke a lot on our podcast. My dad fell asleep trying to watch Captain Marvel 3 separate times.
Oh, no.
He paid to rent it 3 times back in the day before Disney Plus, and he fell asleep 3 times.
Wow.
He's a famous sleeper. He can kind of fall asleep to anything, but usually once he commits to doing something a second time, he's like, no, I'm in there this time.
Sure, yeah. You don't want to make the same mistake twice, of course, yeah.
So it's complicated because these are also characters I like. I cosplay Carol Danvers. She's a character that has meant a lot to me over the years. I just don't love the MCU take. I also think MCU doesn't do a great job with women in general. So I was just like, okay, let's go. Like, let's just do this and get out of here. It's an hour and 40 minutes long, not including credits. Like, the fuck it, we ball.
Yeah.
I don't think I have laughed this hard at a movie in a while.
Okay. All right, cool.
I know that you brought your kid.
Yes.
How I would ask, how did he feel about it?
Yeah, so, I'm in an odd place. Going into this, I felt similar to you, but I did watch Miss Marvel, and I watched WandaVision, and I felt like, okay, I know all these characters, and so I'm interested to see them, the 3 of them interact together. So I wasn't going in with a negative, like chip on my shoulder. I just kind of went going in like, okay, I don't really care if it's good. My son really wants to see it. I enjoy the Marvel movies for the most part. There are a few stinkers, but to me, it's just like this is my version of mindless fun.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't when someone's like, "Oh, I'm really into watching like the I can't even what's the title? The Beverly Housewives,
Oh,
the
the
Real
Real
Housewives?"
Housewives of
Yeah,
Beverly
like
Hills or wherever.
when someone's like, "Oh, I'm really into watching that," I'm not like, "You shouldn't do that." It's just like, okay, yeah, I get it. Like everyone has those kind of pieces of media that you put on just to like entertain your brain,
Mm-hmm.
And so for me,
But that
that's
you
like
don't have to think about.
Yeah, that's Marvel stuff to me. And so I went in kind of okay, but he was very excited. He was laughing and interested the whole time. There's one particular scene that I believe you allude to in your article, which is the cats on cats scene.
Cats on cats.
He leans over to me very excited. He like grabs my arm and he's like, "This is my favorite scene of any movie ever." And then he keeps watching. And then like less than a minute later, he grabs my arm again and he says, "I don't just mean Marvel movies and I don't just mean this movie. I mean, this is my favorite scene of any movie that I have ever seen ever." And I'm very fortunate to have like a younger person. He's only 10.
Mm-hmm.
And so we can watch the same movie and have very, very different experiences with it. But he's a good reminder to me that I'm like, oh, I'm old now. And what I tell people about the Marvel movies is like, look, we are all like 15 years older than we were when these things started. And so it's not really surprising to me that a group of people going back to the well for the things that used to excite them and make them feel happiness. It's like nothing does that for me. It's not like I put on episodes of Doug and I'm like, oh my God, I'm 9 years old again. I mean, I still like Doug, but anyway, so he loved it. And
Good.
I think I would say that I did love it. And I also agree with what you wrote. This isn't necessarily a good movie. It's definitely not a bad movie though.
No, I feel like this is the first Marvel movie in a minute where it is like earnestly being weird and funny and
Yeah.
not trying to be ironic about it.
Yeah.
I think the Whedon / Waititi like patter 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 patter, this is funny cadence. They were just like, oh, it worked in this one, so do it in all of them now. And it doesn't always work. That's not how all the characters talk.
Right.
And it also gets very boring.
Yeah, I wasn't bored at all. I mean, you mentioned this is only an hour 40 minutes. It's like one of the shorter ones that they've ever made, which is kind of crazy because it's about 3 characters.
Yes.
But it was a shame because some of the other movies, I'm like, all right, how much longer is this going to be? Oh my gosh, why are we doing this little side quest thing? Please. Where in this one, I was
Volume
like,
3.
I was like, hey, go to another planet. Maybe they need
got
to
time.
maybe they need a wormhole to suck up junk food from junk food planet. Like I don't care. I just want to see. And like the other thought that I had as it was going was, I was like, oh, this is like my favorite parts of dumb sci-fi. Like I'm not a big Star Trek person, but I was like, oh, it's like Star Trek episodes. It's like go
it
here.
was kind of giving like those early Star Wars tie-in things that weren't like Star Wars canon, but like the holiday special, which I'm a devotee of the holiday special.
Of course.
But
yeah.
That degree of just like, oh right, this is also in space.
Yeah. Yeah, and also like one of my favorite sci-fi films ever is Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I just love when you can do like funny and sci-fi at the same time. And another reason why I've remained on watching the Marvel stuff is because, I like Captain America, I like Iron Man, but at a certain point, you can only watch like the strong man punch at the other strong man so many times. And I love that Marvel kind of continues to be like, no, we're going to keep making weirder and weirder movies, more movies set in space or alternate dimensions or what, and it's going to be weird. Because I grew up and Marvel and comic books weren't for cool people.
Yep.
And then suddenly it was like, everyone was like, yeah, I know who Thanos is. And now, as they continue to be weird, it's like it's becoming uncool again. And I'm like, wow, it's for nerds again. Hooray.
Well, it's the same thing though that happened with the comics, right? Where in the 40s and 50s and 60s it was kind of normal, and then, guys fighting guys. And then as the 60s and 70s wore on, it got weird. They went to space, the Silver Surfer came in.
Yeah.
I'm a Doctor Doom is my guy.
Oh, yeah.
I love Doctor Doom. I love the Christopher Cantwell Doom comics that came out in like 2012. Please read them if you haven't. They're good and the art is beautiful. But like, they're like, ooh, Howard Stern being considered for Doctor Doom. And I was just like, I give up. I give up.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that. I would love to see a list of just like things that were announced, or like ideas or actors, or because for the most part they had a pretty good track record of like, hey, we're gonna put out this movie, and then they actually put out that movie. Where DC and Star Wars is like literally announcing things just to unannounce them 6 months later.
I feel like they must have figured out how to do the tax write-off thing without ever having to make the movie.
Right.
Which I guess Warner Brothers should probably work on.
Yeah, they just go into the IRS office and say, we're going to make a Catwoman movie. And then don't have to do anything and get a tax write-off for it.
Yeah. We've already made a Catwoman movie. We don't need another one. The IRS actually pays them to not make it.
That's their threat. They say, hey, if you don't give us tax breaks, we'll release another Catwoman.
Halle Berry is back. She's ready.
I would love that. I actually watched Catwoman for the first time recently, within the last few months, having heard forever about how horrible it is. And I gotta say, it's a movie. It's the same reason why people hated Alien Resurrection. It's a movie made by French people for an American audience, and there's such a strange filter that goes through that, like, it comes across like, who made this movie? Aliens? And it's like, no, it's just French people making a movie that they think you will like.
Honestly, I had a hard time bouncing back from the cat farting in her or burping in her mouth back to life. Like, that to me, I was just like, I don't know where we go from here.
Right.
Like, I get that that's kind of the same thing that happens in Batman Returns.
Yeah.
But like, we don't see the gas like leaving the cat's mouth and going into her mouth in the way that we do in Catwoman.
Yeah. I'm allergic to cats, so that's what it feels like whenever I'm around a cat. I feel like they're
just burping in your mouth.
Yeah, like their burp vapors are taking over my body.
That sounds terrible. Why would you then wear them as your symbol if that's the thing that stopped you from dying?
Yeah,
Speaking of cats, back to cats.
Yes.
First of all, I love that they visited the Mamma Mia planet. Yep. I believe in the Mamma Mia planet.
Yep.
Everything
I was a big fan of that.
Grecian architecture, blue ocean, and everybody's singing. It's the Mamma Mia planet. You can't change my mind. Yep. I thought that was great. And I thought that was going to be our fun, like, Nia DaCosta likes musicals bit. But no. So I heard the opening strings of Cats, and I am someone who unironically likes Cats the musical, not Cats the movie. But like, I think that Cats the musical is a amazing absurdist ballet. I love it. It's the first Broadway show I ever saw when I was 3 years old. Like,
nice.
It holds up for me because I'm like, they're just cats. They're just big cats. Yes.
Listener, I've just put on my cat ears.
I'm so ready.
That I keep on my desk.
I also have my mom is an amazing shopper, and she got me Cats the movie tie-in earmuffs from Kate Spade that are just really nice soft earmuffs with little kitten ears on them.
Nice.
They're great.
I'm in the same boat. I love the music from Cats. The movie, within 60 seconds, had me like writhing on the floor. But anyway, we're not here to talk about that. I snuck in 2 bottles of wine and it wasn't enough.
Oh my gosh. I was like, oh, they're going to do an instrumental to Memory. Like, that's cute and dumb. And, like, I appreciate it. and then it's Barbara Streisand.
Dude,
And then
it rules.
and I was like, wait, when they launch, it's gonna be the crescendo.
Yep.
Wait. And I grabbed my friend who I brought with me to this press screening, and I'm pretty sure I grabbed his arm so hard I ripped the muscle off the bone because I was like, do you know what they're doing?
Yep.
And he's like, yeah. Why? And I was like,
Yeah.
My favorite part about this is in reading all of the reviews, even the people who didn't like it agree that scene is among the best things that's ever been put to film.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And again, my son who saw it with me, he also likes the music from Cats. And so he knew what it was. Like, he got the joke of the whole thing. And I was like, oh my gosh. I haven't written a review for this yet, but I feel like this is my review. Go see the Marvels. Take the stick out of your butt first. Don't care about anything for 2 hours and just have fun. Like, why can't it just be fun?
It is the first Marvel movie that is like fun in a way that doesn't feel like it's beating you over the head with it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Maybe ever, like maybe since Ragnarok, but even then, like, I feel like Ragnarok's got enough of a like bit to it that it's like it knows when to not bit.
Mm-hmm.
And like I really like Love and Thunder, but also like there are moments in Love and Thunder where I'm like, right, the goats are back.
Right, yeah. Oh man.
And this isn't
the
funny.
Goats,
like
the axe, like.
Yeah. I will also just throw out there, Goose did cross the SAG-AFTRA picket line, the actors who played Goose. So cancel Goose. Because of the strike, he did the press tour for the Marvels. Cancel Goose.
Should never work again.
I don't know who's responsible for that. I actually tweeted at Jorts, the union organizing cat, to see if we could figure this out. Because, like, I feel like personally the owners are probably liable. Because it's not like Goose, like, put a tie on and, like, went himself. like...
Right. I enjoyed hearing from people on the red carpet, apart from actors, for a change. Like, we were hearing from, like, editors and producers, and I was like, oh, I like this, actually. We should talk to these people more.
I like when Disney did, like, the strike broke the day of the Haunted Mansion premiere, like, it started. And so they just had a bunch of Disney characters walking the red carpet. So, like, the evil queen was like, I'm so excited for the picture. And I was just like, get it. Literally get it, queen. Like...
I think one of the reasons why it's just fun and doesn't feel, like you said, like it's like beating you over the head with it, is because I genuinely enjoy hanging out with all of these characters. Like, even Nick Fury, he's definitely like a funnier, lighter Nick Fury in this movie. But it was fun. It was cool to see him. And I was like, oh, I want to be around these people.
And it did not feel like him. It still felt like him.
Yeah. What's your Brie Larson, like, position? Like, are you like a Brie Larson believer?
She seems fine. I'm watching Lessons in Chemistry on Apple TV right now, and she's really good in that.
Yeah.
I have nothing but, like, empathy for her.
Sure.
Because being a woman in a superhero project that's predominantly male-dominated is hard anyway. How do you balance that, right? You've got to be grateful, but you also have to advocate for yourself. But if you advocate for yourself, like, it's any position, right? Except on a much huger stage. She has to do all of the womanhood things while still, like, appearing grateful for the opportunity. Like, I feel like Scarlett Johansson showed up, did the work, left. And that's totally fine. That's her right to do. But, like, Brie Larson cares about the character and has opinions about the character. And I think that she does a great job. Like, I know who her Carol Danvers is. And that is not who my Carol Danvers is from the comics. Yeah. But that's okay. Yeah. You know, Brie Larson to me is not ever going to be the, like, 6'1", absolutely built, like, Carol Danvers from the comics that I know.
Yeah.
You know, who wears lipstick, for example. the defeminizing of women in Marvel is a thing that I could go on at length about, but that's not who she is, and that's fine.
Yeah, I agree that I feel a lot of empathy for her. I feel like she is a great actress, and she seems like a fun, nice person.
Yeah.
And whenever people are mad at somebody, they don't like it when that person continues to be fun and nice.
I just remember when Captain Marvel came out, the only people who went to the premiere from the other actors was who weren't in the movie was I think Don Cheadle and maybe Anthony Mackie.
Uh-huh.
Like, that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Every other solo movie had the whole lineup.
Yeah.
I don't think that Marvel, and Star Wars does this too, by the way, does a good job supporting their female staff.
Mm-hmm.
And I am amazed that Brie Larson, didn't try to like break out of that contract. Because after how she was treated and how she was routinely just kind of hanged out to dry by Marvel, I sure as shit would have.
It's great to see Captain Marvel has always in the films been very much on the side and popping in and out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's great to see them give Captain Marvel the same opportunity that they gave to all of the other big characters to be a leader and not just like I'm off doing my own thing. Goodbye.
I'll
see you in
pop
6
back
movies.
in as plot armor later.
Right. And so it's cool to see them give her a chance to, start a team, lead a story that involves other people. And yeah, I thought it was good. I wasn't in love with like, oh, this is why I never came back because I'm the Annihilator and I'm ashamed. It's like, okay, all of that stuff is fine. A lot of the motivation with the bad guy I got and I didn't have a problem with because, we can count on one hand the amount of good Marvel villains, quite frankly. So it's like, yeah, it's the same as it always been.
I know why it wasn't Jude Law, but why wasn't it Jude Law? Wouldn't it make so much more sense if it was Jude Law? Because she, humiliates him.
Yeah.
And then sends him back as, a warning to the Kree people that she's going to come and kill them.
Yeah.
And, wouldn't it make sense if it was, Jude Law? And he had, this is all just, a humiliation, the culmination of feeling that way for so long.
Right.
That to me is a way stronger motivation and much more interesting than this. Not dissing the performance at all, by the way.
No.
This is not.
Oh, no.
She did fine with the two things she had to do.
Yeah.
But in the review I wrote, I was like, Ronan the Accuser's wife, daughter, girlfriend, intern, sister. They don't. She has the hammer, but we don't know why she has the hammer, and the hammer still has a shard of the Power Stone in it, and that's never covered or expanded upon.
Yeah.
So we know it's post Ronan the Accuser, so they can't claim there's any timeline fuckery.
Yeah. And that's the part where I really just threw my hands up and said, I don't care. Because also, don't show me Captain Marvel going toe-to-toe with Thanos, and then Captain Marvel with 2 other superheroes having trouble with this villain. It's like, I'm sorry.
With a lady with bracelets.
Yeah, it's like, I literally, the last time I saw Carol Danvers, she flew through Thanos' fleet unharmed, fought him hand to hand. None of this feels that scary to me. But again, I just was like, I don't care. I don't care if, they lessened down her power scale for this one and to that one. And it's just, I don't know. And I know I probably shouldn't feel like that. To me, it has to go both ways. Not mattering has to go both ways. I'm not going to say these are important films, Yeah.
I mean, this is important. The cats, man. But no.
Hey.
The only reason that stuff like that bothers me is because Marvel still is claiming to be meticulous and airtight.
Yeah.
And if they weren't still claiming to be meticulous and airtight, I wouldn't call them out on it.
Yeah.
In the first couple phases, they were pretty meticulous and airtight. Obviously, there were some things that like Thor 2 The Dark World, when it came out, everyone was like, what the fuck are we doing? But then we got to the end of the phase and we were like, oh, the fuck
Right.
we were doing.
Right.
And some of these mid-phase ones, I'm just like, okay. Like,
yeah.
But they're still like, there's a plan and the phases and smash, and it's all gonna make sense in Captain America 7. This time it's personal. And
right.
is it? Also,
Yeah.
breaking news as of last night, apparently the new Captain America movie received the worst testing scores of any Marvel movie in history, causing them to push it over a year for its release date.
I'm very curious about that, and like what didn't work. You know what I'm saying?
Apparently,
like,
all of the action sequences
got it.
are scrapped at least. I don't know what else there is, but that tells me there's probably a villain problem.
Yeah.
And, you know, like Falcon and the Winter Soldier had a lot of problems. I don't know how many of the Marvel TV shows you've watched. I've seen WandaVision, I've seen Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and I've seen Loki. And I've seen like bits and bobs of other ones. But I liked them being a little more like grounded. Like there are sequences where it does not make sense for Falcon to use his wings because he's just like fist fighting a guy. And he can like shink the wings out, but they're just going to be dumb and probably get in the way.
Yeah.
And like that series had a lot of problems. I wish they had just made a separate mini series about Red, Black, and Blue that deserves its own space. I dislike that they disrespected a war veteran who was medically experimented on's wishes at the end, and we were supposed to cheer for that. There's a lot of stuff there. Red, Black, and Blue, great comic, by the way. It is out of print, but most libraries have a copy. Also high recommendation. It is about the soldiers of color they experimented on to perfect Captain America before they would inject a nice white boy with the serum. And it's heartbreaking and disturbing and really, really good. But like we're supposed to cheer for that.
Right.
So like whatever. There's problems, but it was nice to see them dealing with like it's still a huge problem. A global terrorist organization is a huge problem, but you can't throw your fucking pie plate around in a cramped hallway with a bunch of orphans in it. And like that, it was nice to see them have to deal with challenges like that.
Yeah.
So,
I've seen everything except for Secret Invasion.
My dad was like, I started Secret Invasion and then I went on vacation for a week. And 2 months later, I remembered that I started Secret Invasion. And I was like, that's kind of what I've heard from everybody that started Secret Invasion.
Yeah. Well, it's so like you were mentioning earlier phases, and you would have, it was like juggling, right? They would throw one ball up in the air and then they'd move around a few more. But then that ball would come down and they'd catch it, and we'd get what they were doing. Where now I can't even keep track. I mean, every movie has had a stinger that like hasn't really been paid off yet. Like we still have Harry Styles running around with Pip, out in
oh my
space.
God, you're right.
We still have
we still have Harry Styles. Shit.
At the end of Shang-Chi, we have like the secret ninja organization is like coming back into play.
Where the fuck is Shang-Chi? Where has he been?
There's a lot of... So now there's a lot of balls up in the air.
Yeah,
and now
his
it's like,
movie
well,
came
how are we
out
going to catch all these?
I feel like he's like moved on. Like he's what do they call him in the credits? Shit. When you watch Barbie with subtitles, all of the Kens have one like qualifier about them. So that you know which Ken is talking at any given time.
Right.
And I feel like he's like Pompadour Ken or Good Hair Ken or something like that. Like he's Good Hair Ken. He's Ken with the good hair. He doesn't need this anymore.
I mean, and so there's a lot of things that aren't just like, oh, haha, here's a little teaser. It's like whole characters being introduced. I mean, the end of Doctor Strange. Bringing in one of Hollywood's biggest stars as a new character, like
right. And also, like, Doctor Strange is going to hell.
I love it. Love it.
I also love it.
Yeah.
But like deeply, like, now what?
Right. And so, yeah, like before.
Or them refusing to commit to whether or not Wanda's actually dead. Like,
yeah.
I'm sorry. She's a fucking Wanda Maximoff, favorite character of mine, character I cosplay. Yeah. I love her dearly. Specifically the comics version. The MCU version does not capture my imagination, but it does piss me off because, like, she's as close to like a woman they allow to be feminine, but then she also gets baby mania and goes crazy. Like, a lot of it's all about babies. That's all women want, according to Marvel people. But anyway, again, things I could go on at length about. But
sure.
Like, they're refusing to commit to whether or not she's dead because they don't know if she's going to renew her contract. Yeah. Then don't make the fucking movie.
Yeah. I mean, for the most part, people are on the same page of, like, just recast people.
Also, like, tell me why WandaVision comes first. Oh. It makes no sense.
Yeah. No.
She should go evil. She should be trapped in that rock formation, and that is where she takes over the town. Mm-hmm. And she's like, aren't you happy now? I'm doing what you wanted. I'm staying out of the way. And then she has to realize, actually, it's still hurting people. Are my children worth this? Because if they make the movie about her trying to find Vision again, that makes a lot more sense. Oh, White Vision's just floating around, fucking about.
White Vision is also out there. There's a lot.
I kind of thought we might get a little cameo of him in this, just because it's kind of implied he, like, goes to space. He must go. His people need him.
There was that funny thing where they're trying to come up with a code name for Monica Rambeau, and they're like, Vision. And Carol's like, yeah, Vision. Oh, wait, no.
Yeah. And, like, I don't know. I think this one did a really great job with the, like, groovy space backgrounds. Like, this one felt the most, like, actually 70s groovy to me, which I love. Mm-hmm. I loved Miss Marvel's family. I thought they were great.
Yeah, I would recommend checking out the show. It's interesting. It's not the best, but so Iman Vellani,
she's amazing.
To me, now this is just to me, perhaps. Mm-hmm. Ms. Marvel and She-Hulk are the two most effortlessly charismatic characters introduced into the MCU since Tony Stark.
I love Daredevil, Charlie Cox Daredevil. Uh-huh. I am considering cosplaying She-Hulk for reasons.
Got it. I love She-Hulk. I thought I was all in on just, I will watch this person because she's so charismatic and she's so she walks into a room and says funny, interesting things, and it doesn't feel quippy. It just feels like this is an interesting person. And that was my favorite part about Miss Marvel, was just like, oh my God, I want to see this character and the world that she lives in. And she happens to be a superhero. Like, mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, Tony Stark is interesting before he becomes Iron Man, mm-hmm. You know, but I loved her in this movie. I don't know if you could hear the sound mixing in my theater was real strange. I don't know if you heard the "Oh Captain, My Captain" line.
Yeah.
From her. I loved that so much. And I was just like, this is stupid. Like, everything that happened, stupid. I kept saying, this is so stupid. And that's why it's great. I mean, you're a lover of musicals as well, right? Mm-hmm. And so you are able to go into this thing and say, yes, it's singing cats. No, I don't have to defend this to make it seem cool to people who don't understand it. I understand stupid is good and stupid is funny. And that was this, and like, it sounds mean saying that, but it's just a stupid movie.
No, and I appreciate that it is so smart about how stupid it is.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I think, like I said, I think I'm the one person in the world that actually liked Thor: Love and Thunder the first time I saw it. A lot of that is because it reminded me of a friend of mine who died of cancer, and his mm-hmm. sense of humor was very similar to how the movie handled that. And that is not a thing that I see very often.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he used to tell a joke about how he used to be lactose intolerant. Don't ask him how he got over his lactose intolerance. And then people would ask him anyway. And he goes, I have terminal cancer. And chemotherapy killed the part of me that was lactose intolerant.
That's a good joke.
I'm going to die soon, but I can have mott sticks now. Like,
That's right.
So who's really winning?
Right.
Like, and I felt like Love and Thunder actually acknowledged that like area of dying in a way that a lot of other media doesn't. But also, I think that they let stupid drive the bus a little bit on that movie. Whereas in this one, I was like, oh, okay, like someone competent is driving the bus, but is letting stupid get on at every stop.
Yeah. No, I didn't find any of this from like, you know, I will continue to complain about CGI forever. I think
her hair looks like cheese in every shot that she's like looking down on a planet.
Yeah, so like, you know, there are stylistic choices where I'm like, oh, I don't like this. I don't, you know, but it doesn't feel like a movie made by an incompetent group of people. It just feels like this is not your cup of tea, and we're gonna make 2 different sequences, you know, making jokes about musicals, and if you don't like that, you know. So Teyana Paris as Monica Rambeau, how did you feel about her?
She was fine. I wish she did more. Like, I really like her as an actress. I love her in WandaVision. She's honestly the high point of the Candyman movie. But in this, I feel like she's just like, her emotion is frustrated.
Correct. Yeah. She feels more muted than the other 2.
Yeah. And I think that makes sense. But it's also like, because someone has to be the glue, right? And one of them is like, I've been Captain Marvel for like, at this point, probably 40 years, right? And she's like, sometimes you got to let people die, okay? And like Monica Rambeau, fighter pilot, astronaut, gets that.
Yeah.
So she just kind of is like, like, but like, but the scene where she's trying to fly, and Nick Fury is like, you gotta fly or Kamala's not going to college. Black girl magic. Come on. Like and she's just like, she looks like she's going to take a shit. She's straining so hard, but it's like, that's the scene where I was like, oh, she's doing something. The post-credit scene, I think, is where she does the best acting.
Okay.
Because you see her,
I thought that was great. Yeah.
And you see all these feelings and like, your mom died, and your mom died while you didn't exist.
Right.
And you haven't really been able to process that because please keep in mind, 3 days after the blip ends, WandaVision starts.
Right.
3 days. That's it.
Right.
So like
she's great.
She hasn't had a second to adjust to any of this.
Yeah.
And now her mom's back, and her mom is her. And she's in this she's made this huge sacrifice. She's never going to see her friends again, she thinks. Like, I was just like, damn, like, if that was an Oscar reel package, like, that would be the scene.
Yeah.
Like, they would show that without any context, and everyone would be like, yes! Like, so it's frustrating that we didn't get to see her do more.
Right. Especially since she is the one that gets, like, the hero's death at the end.
So it just makes her seem like they're carting a MacGuffin around the whole time.
Yeah. And like also in your article you mentioned her powers are a little ill-defined, like more so than the other ones. I get it. I mean, she had the coolest moment in any of the fight scenes for me where she just phases through like 6 people. I in the theater I went like, woo! But yeah, she's a great actress. I do agree. She was the best part of the new Candyman. I recently watched Chirac, the Spike Lee film that she's in. Oh my God. She is amazing in that movie. Amazing. Which is also musical adjacent. It's kind of like Spike Lee doing a musical.
It's a musical of Lysistrata, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's really good. But I liked her in this. I do wish that I don't know. It's always hard to balance multiple characters. And I liked Kamala's family in this. Maybe we could have done a little less of them and a little bit more of Monica. But yeah.
But even then, like, I wish part of this is gonna sound insane, but I wish I was angrier about it.
Yeah.
Like instead of being angry about it, I'm just like, they tried something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I'm just so happy they tried something. I also really like the comic intro. I feel like that doesn't get enough pull, especially because Aman Vellani was gonna go to comic school before she got cast as Miss Marvel. So I don't know if she was involved in the art process at all, but I kind of get the sense that she was.
That's a
And I
big
really,
part of the TV show, the style of her
yeah,
TV show. Yeah.
and I really like that they continued that through. I also just like when comic book movies acknowledge that there are comics. Like,
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
one of my favorite parts of Birds of Prey as well, is that bit in the middle or in the beginning. And like, I think that stuff's great.
I think that this is like the appropriate amount of overlap with other movies in this one, where we're not pretending like other people don't exist, but also it's not like, hey, let's take a 20-minute trip to stop by Captain America's place. We get King Valkyrie show up, help out for a little bit. It was cool to see Tessa Thompson again. Then we get, as an end
A great
scene,
character.
yeah, we get Kate Bishop showing up again. I
I like
liked,
her.
yeah. I thought
I
the Hawkeye TV show was maybe the most surprising of all of the TV shows. I was
sleeper
like,
hit.
this is so funny, and
Yeah.
I'm also a Jeremy Renner fan. Like I love Wind River. He's so good in that. To me, he was the best part of American Hustle.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh God,
I
American
really liked
Hustle.
the
Ugh.
Hawkeye show, and yeah,
I
like
did too.
Haley Steinfeld, she just her chemistry with Kamala in the scene, I thought was really funny, and I like the idea of Miss Marvel being the one to go around and recruit superheroes to her team, because that's kind of like been her dream,
Yeah.
and she's like the anti Nick Fury a little bit.
I also like that we see her. The first person she goes to is a lady.
Mm-hmm.
Like she could have gone to Daredevil, and we all would have been like, that makes sense. They live on the same subway line.
Right.
But like, she doesn't. I
Yeah.
like that. I like that. I like that Marvel is like, listen, broads, okay? We're doing broads. Like,
well, so another kind of ball that's still hanging up in the air there is the Bruce Banner's son, who shows up at the end of of She-Hulk. I don't know if you even remember that.
I didn't get to the end of She-Hulk, so.
Oh, okay. Well, sorry, but
I tapped out after Matt Murdock stopped coming around.
Got it. Well, it's literally at the end. Bruce Banner shows back up, and he's like, "Hey, sorry, I had to leave, guys. Here's my son," and this like CGI, yeah. So like he's around.
Wait. Whoa.
Yeah.
What? I have so many logistical questions.
So the Hulk had a child while he was on the planet that he like didn't know about. His name is Scar. Yeah. I mean he's from the comics, but
his name was actually Taka, which means trash, but then he got the Scar and now he's called Scar. It's a weird Lion King joke for those of you that don't know.
So we get them, we're definitely going to be on an Avengers movie at some point, which I think is, sure.
Or actually,
who cares?
I think
Cool.
that might work better as a series.
Yeah, maybe that's what they'll do.
If they do one episode kind of centered around each person in the team, I think that could be really clever. But I don't know if Marvel wants to be clever anymore.
We get Kelsey Grammer back, kind of. As Beast.
The
and
the CGI Kelsey Grammer model did make an appearance on this.
So it's interesting, with everything that Loki is doing, it's like all of, with everything that happened with Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, all of these movies have been like, hey, is this going to be the thing? Hey, is this going to be the one where we actually explore the multiverse? Maybe we're going to do it this time. And then it just doesn't. And so this was kind of the first time where it was like, oh, she traveled from here to another place. Here are characters that we haven't seen before.
Yeah.
We're doing the X-Men.
I did a little like, when when the camera movement happened. I love the X-Men. I am ambivalent on the movies, but I love them as comic characters. I love the version of Wanda Maximoff I do is like her. I call it the Avengers tryout outfit, where she's like trying to be an Avenger and it's not, or an X-Men and it's not going very well. Like she is. I love the X-Men. I think this is actually setting up for Deadpool 3 because the strike ended and Deadpool 3 like went into may have already gone into production.
Yeah.
Like the phone calls were ready. They just had to hit dial.
Honestly, Deadpool has been such a big hit. It would make sense if they were like, okay, this is the one that we know everyone's going to go and see. And so here's where we're breaking all of the, Yeah,
I think having him be the connection point, especially because then we would get some Deadpool Spider-Man time, which comic people know is the shit, would help a lot. I also think then that might push, like, it would have to push those other teams forming just to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
And that's also would help some of the other characters that are maybe X-Men sometimes and Young Avengers sometimes actually like move into position.
My pitch for Deadpool 3 was that Deadpool has to go around and kill all of the 20th Century Fox versions of all of the previous superheroes. And just all of the superheroes that we're not using anymore. So he would have to go and kill Ben Affleck Daredevil.
Which have you watched that movie with like 2023 eyes?
No, goodness, I haven't seen. I mean, you know, when I think of Daredevil, I'm just thinking about Colin Farrell.
Truly a national treasure.
in one of the greatest villain roles of all time.
I watched it during the pandemic. Now, this may have been peak pandemic insanity, but like I actually was like, wait, this is the movie y'all were saying was the worst thing that ever happened.
Right.
I watched the director's cut, so that may be part of it. But my dad works with the Carroll Center for the Blind, which is a charitable group in school that helps folks who are blind, specifically folks who become blind later in life, learn how to acclimate. And he was like, this is like kind of exactly how a lot of people describe like what they can see and experience when like actually losing their vision. And like, I thought that was a really interesting layer that added to it. I don't know. But I would let Ryan Reynolds, there we go, other Ryan, murder the shit out of Ben Affleck. I don't care.
Yeah. Well, because, you know, it's like a way of doing Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe.
Yeah. That would make sense.
Yeah.
Because
we know like the TVA is possibly going to be involved from Loki in this one.
Right.
And so it's like, hey, we got to go kill all these variants. Yeah, we have all these variants. And
freshly single Hugh Jackman.
Yes. Which, like, I know everyone's been clamoring for him in this yellow suit. And I'm like, just let it go. We don't need the yellow suit.
We really don't.
Wolverine is so much more than that.
if we do it, I'm gonna be like, cool. But like, they already changed what Domino looked like, and everybody went fucking insane. And I thought Domino looked like hot as shit, and I was like, fuck yeah. But like,
there are things that don't translate between different medias. A book will never be a movie. It just
there
won't.
are also things that don't matter.
Well, like, right. Yes. Like, as I'm reading a comic book, and it's not to say that a comic book is dumb. It's just, it's a two-dimensional image on a page that I'm holding in my hands. It's not a 30-foot, 55-year-old man wearing a yellow suit.
Yeah. I also, while I am excited about Deadpool 3, because I do like the Deadpool movies, I am like, oh, but like Logan was so perfect.
Yeah.
Like it feels, and I am a James Mangold apologist. I am also, I think, the only person that actually liked Indiana Jones 5 and the Temple of the Gray Sweatpant Riz.
I haven't seen it yet, so I don't really have an opinion. But
the only thing I will say is in the last scene, he is wearing gray sweatpants in front of God and everybody. And I was just like,
crazy.
Yeah. No wonder Marion came back. Like, I just love Logan so much. And Logan also, it's not a movie I can rewatch, I'll be honest. Some of the rage issue stuff reminds me a lot of some unfortunate stuff that I've seen in my actual life.
Mm.
And it does a really good job of making me feel that way again, which is beautiful filmmaking, but also is not something I need to like do for fun.
I have things where it's like the performance was too good and now I hate this person. Or this movie that was designed to make me stressed out and angry actually does that thing. And so while I love it and appreciate it, it's like, oh, I'll never, we'll never say never. But
it also gave me Ford versus Ferrari, which I love. I think that is one of my favorite like movies of the last decade.
Mm-hmm.
I find myself like humming the like HAPPY, I'm HAPPY, I think I am, I know I am, I'm HAPPY all the time. Like that movie just imprinted itself on my psyche in a way that is like I don't know anything about James Mangold. He's a guy, he makes movies for dads and apparently also for me.
Right.
But I whatever. I know the MCU is going to MCU and I respect that. But I do feel like it's a little bit like why are you? It was like a perfect thing, and now we're taking some stuff away from that.
Yeah, I mean, if I view comic book movies just like I view westerns. It's a genre of film that usually stays within a pretty strict framework. There's good movies in there. There's a lot of nonsense in there that you don't need to see, and sometimes you get a film that breaks out of that framework, kind of plays with it a little bit, and it's a little bit more interesting. But when I see new westerns coming out, I don't get mad. I'm not like, whoa, don't you know how many there already are? How many more stories could there possibly be to tell? I just don't care. I just don't go and see it. And so like my least favorite thing about this movie, The Marvels coming out, and pretty much any superhero movie is all the people who hate talking about it the most talk about it the most. And it's like, just stop, leave it alone. And again, it just comes back around to feeling like a kid being made fun of for liking nerdy stuff. Except now, their nerdy stuff has billions and billions of dollars and the most evil corporation on earth behind it. But, that's okay. I had a laugh. I had a good time.
I wonder if this movie would have been better with a smaller budget.
I think all movies are better with a smaller budget. And I would like to see them commit to making $70 million superhero movies. And we don't need, we don't need everything. Just give us a good story and hey, you'll make a ton of money because these things still make, $200-300 million, even on the low end. And
I also this is so dumb, but if your movie costs $1 billion million, fucking suspend Brie Larson, because you can see her standing on her toes when she's like hovering above a planet looking down. Right. You can see that they have CGI'd in the bottom of her feet so it doesn't look like that.
Right.
Just suspend her. Suspend her 1 inch off the ground. Yeah. I guarantee you it's cheaper than CGI reconstructing her feet.
Right.
Like this is not a situation like Ron DeSantis where he has to wear like weird funky shoes so he can convince everybody he's a big guy. I'm glad she's in flats. Finally, they took her out of those god awful wedges, but like suspend her 1 inch off the ground. That's
just
it.
Do a little jump. Even
that would have been better. Like, I'm just like, girl, your ankles, are you okay?
Yeah.
Like, run
so
your
in
hand
your article,
through your cheese hair if you need help.
In your article, I think you had said that this is a 3 out of 5, but for enjoyment level, it's more like a 4 out of 5. Do you still feel that way a few days later?
Yeah, I do. I think that if you are not the type of person to turn your brain down and enjoy something, you're not gonna like it. And that's totally okay. If you're the type of person that's like very liturgical about comic books, you might not like this, and that's okay.
Yeah.
If you are a misogynist, you probably won't like this.
Yeah.
That one's not okay.
Right. I was waiting. I was like, is she going to do it?
To me, it is really, if you can just like be like, wow, the movies. I think you'll get a big kick out of it. But also, it's so interesting because all of the reviews that I saw are like, it's bad, don't go. And now all of the reviews I'm seeing from actual people with eyeballs that I know are like, wait, this kind of fucks? And I'm like, yes, it kind of does. And so I'm seeing the tide turn on it in real time.
Right.
If you want to hear Barbra Streisand in Dolby Atmos, fucking do it, because this is the only way you're gonna see that. They're not re-releasing Funny Girl in IMAX. They're just not.
Who knows, man? I mean, well, the strike is over now, but you know, it would have been interesting to see another 6 months what would be coming back to IMAX.
Oh man, Disney announced we're re-releasing our animated films for the 100th, like right as the strike was starting, and I was like, how many years would Disney 100 be if the strike kept going?
Right, yeah. And now, back by popular demand, Oliver and Company.
Why should I worry?
Hey, it's a great.
For example, with the theme parks, right? They celebrated the 50th anniversary of Walt Disney World for like 2 full years, so they could just push right into Disney 100. So time's not real,
right?
But Goose crossed the picket line, and we do all need to come to that as a nation together. Cats are complicit in union busting now. We know this. It's okay. I would have been really interested to hear the press tour for this because it was made like 3 years ago. Also, I think that they digitally aged up Iman Vellani in a couple of the scenes that maybe were filmed 3 years ago.
Wow, you think so?
As opposed to digitally de-aging her in the new stuff. Because sometimes her like eye bags did not quite track with her face.
Wow. Okay. I'm gonna when I rewatch it, which I definitely will. Like, I'm with you. Thor: Love and Thunder. Probably never going to see that again. I did like the new Doctor Strange.
I did too.
I don't know that I'll ever see that again. The Marvels, though, this has entered into my like Thor Ragnarok, Marvel movies that I can just throw on and hang out and have a good time with. So,
I love that. And like, I also feel like it's one where like, if you just like have it on while you're doing the dishes or whatever, there's a good chance you'll look over and have a nice like chuckle in between things. And like, that's what you need.
Yeah. Well, hey, thanks, Kat, for joining me.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
I just joined you guys. We talked about The Shape of Water and what else? What was the other one? Oh, Birdman. That was fun. We met for the first time this year in July or sometime over the summer.
Early August.
Yeah. I was out in Boston, and you are out there, and your co-host just happened to be there, and we met up. It was super cool. And if you guys don't already follow their show, you should. It's called We Should Do This Again Sometime with Mark and Kat. Kat, where can people find you online?
Yeah, so I have handle Unity everywhere. It's great. So if you search KAT_Chinetti, CHINETTI on Instagram, Twitter, Threads, Letterboxd, etc., you will find me. I also have a writing page on Facebook that's just Kat Chinetti, no underscore. So if you want to see my writing, that would be a good place to do it. Please listen to our podcast. We should do this again sometime with Kat and Mark. You can get it wherever you get your podcasts. It's fun. We're doing it pretty much weekly. We do have a holiday break coming up, but that means you've got plenty of time to catch up.
Yeah, and you guys have a lot of episodes.
Well, we were set up on a blind podcasting date.
Right
Before the pandemic started. And then the pandemic started, so we had nothing better to do.
Right.
And here we still are. If you like reading things that I write, you can head over to Nerd Caliber, or you can head over to my aggregate site, which is catseesmovies.tumblr.com. That's where I post all my podcast episodes, all my writing, all my non-Nerd Caliber writing. You can find all of that there.
Awesome. And you can check us out, Movie Friends Podcast, pretty much everywhere. We don't always talk about superhero movies, but when we do, it's usually one that we moderately like. You can also send us an email, moviefriendspodcast@gmail.com. Let us know if you saw The Marvels, what you thought about it. Is it a stinker? Or is it just, a chill out and have fun with fun characters kind of movie? Let us know what you think. You can also rate and review the show if you like. If not, no big deal. You can also support the show, patreon.com/moviefriendspodcast. You get access to 4 additional shows. Also, you get access to our patron-only Discord. It's only $5 a month, which at this point, what does that buy you? One donut? One donut a month? Come on. You can do that. Switch to an apple one morning a month. Give that donut money to the show. You support an independent show, and you'll feel better about yourself because you'll be eating one less donut a month. Anyway, Kat, thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. I had a marvelous time.
Ooh. Hey, thank you very much for listening. Have a good one.
Movie Friends is produced by Seth Vargas and Michelle Rubenstein. Music by Anthony Vicora. If you like the show, please subscribe and give us a rating. It really helps us find new friends. Thanks!